Welcome, kiddies, to the Cryptique Podcast. My name's Kenny. I'm here with my co-host, Godden, and together we're here to watch and review every single horrific, sometimes hilarious, episode of the legendary HBO anthology series, Tales from the Crypt. Oh, I have fun with that intro, Godden. That's a good one. That one's a keeper.
That one is a keeper. You could reuse it over and over again.
I'm wearing my Halloween shirt today, God, and even though it's not Halloween.
Not yet, but we're almost there. You're so excited.
Yeah, we're almost there. It's the first big holiday at school. When school starts, That's true. First big holiday to look forward to is Halloween. So all month long, I play like horror movie soundtracks and like scary music in the classroom. I just help the kids get to know me because I'm such a big horror movie fan, and it definitely comes up in the classroom. So it's fun. It's fun, and plus, horror movies are also fun for kids too. So
depends on the PG rating on it.
Yeah, I guess there's some parents out there who kind of don't want to show their kids rated R flicks, but
yeah,
I don't mind. For some reason, I don't know what it is. I don't mind. Like, I don't see much of a problem with kids watching horror stuff, but I don't know what it is in my brain, but just like sex stuff just seems more taboo to me. So like if it's like heavily sexualized, that kind of bothers me more than if it's just, grotesque, horrific stuff.
Yeah, no, I think a lot of people would agree with that though, right? Like it is kind of taboo for like young humans, toddlers, or just or as a kid, in people's eyes, like, yeah, you shouldn't watch that. But killing, it's fine. It happens all the time.
Yeah, it's weird. It is weird. Maybe because, I don't know, maybe because the horror part of it, the death and the killing and all that kind of stuff is so far removed from reality that it's easy to like dissociate. Oh, this is just a movie. But when it's sex, it could be so incorporated in your life that it's a little harder to separate. So I don't know if that has something to do with it, but... Well, here we are, everybody. We are getting ready to talk about Season 2, Episode 8 for Crying Out Loud. It premiered on May 22nd, 1990, and it comes to us from the comic Shock Suspense Stories. So it's a shocker. This one's a shocker. Here we go. Oh, it stars Katie Sagal, who at this time was a couple 3 years into Married with Children. So I would imagine at the time watching this, you'd probably think, oh, it's Peggy from Married with Children, right? But today, watching it, I think, oh, it's Leela from Futurama. So, yeah,
she voices Leela.
Yeah, she's had a couple of iconic roles in her career. The voice that you hear in the episode is actually Sam Kinison, who's a comedian, kind of a famous comedian, but I don't really know much of his work. I just know the name more than I know him. And speaking of knowing names that I know more about their actual work, Iggy Pop is in this episode. And the moment I saw Iggy Pop, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Iggy Pop. And then I stopped to think about it. Like, I don't know anything about his music. He was in the Stooges, the Trolls, the Iguanas, the Prime Movers. I haven't heard of any of these bands. Have you?
Nope. I don't think I had a lot of Iggy Pop growing up. I just knew the name,
Yeah. Yeah, I know the name. I don't know his music, but yeah, he's a like a punk rocker. So there he is. We got Iggy Pop here. I want to try something a little different here. Usually I save this for towards the end of the episode, but I've been listening to other podcasts and they do it first. So I'm going to copy them. We're going to go totally crazy out of order here. Godden. Again, my name's Kenny. If you'd like to hear more of me just talking, I have a couple of channels. I'm at 2 Bad About Kenny. That's TOO Bad About Kenny, as well as the number 2 Bad About Kenny. And I can be found on YouTube and Twitch. I do movie reviews and book reviews. I also stream video games on Twitch. And right now I'm going through the Final Fantasy games. So if you're interested in that, stop by. I'd love to hang out and chat with you. Godden, how about you?
Me, I also occasionally stream on Twitch at UAPP06, and I have nothing in the moment in terms of streaming, but I look forward to playing Silent Hill F and Ninja Gaiden. That will be ones I'll be streaming in the future, so if you ever end up watching me, those are the games to expect. Also, you can find us at Cryptikers on Twitter. You can get updates or interact with us, so tweet to us, chat with us. That's all I got.
Yeah. Thanks, Godden, for taking care of the Twitch. No, not Twitch. Twitter.
Twitter.
Thank you for taking care of the Twitter. That's something I'm not very familiar with. I've never tweeted. I've never read tweets. Occasionally, I'll get something that's linked to a Twitter thing, and I'll click on it, and then it'll just send me to the App Store to download Twitter. I'm like, never mind. It probably wasn't that important.
Right. I know what you mean.
All right. So with that out of the way, we're going to dive into this episode. Now, before we do, I want to let you all know that Godden and I are only here to talk about a show that we both truly enjoy watching. Okay. We are not experts. We did hardly any research involved other than just watching the episode and then take some notes about what we liked and didn't like about the episode. So if we get something wrong or we have a weird take that doesn't make any sense, it's fine. We're only human. Let us know in the comments. We're trying to build a community around this. So if this means something to you and you agree or disagree, let us know. We'd love to hear it. We don't take offense if you think it's different than how we presented it. We definitely want to build up a fan base here. So don't be shy. Let us know what you think in the comments. And also, spoiler warning, we're going to go deep dive into this episode. So if you don't want to be spoiled, now's your time to leave. Watch the episode, but don't forget to come back. Don't forget to come back to hear us blather on about this. So before we start this, I like to go ahead and read the synopsis, inked in blood on human flesh, on the back of the DVD box set. And the back of the DVD box set is over there. I'll be right back.
Oh my God.
I keep not putting this on the counter next to me, and I keep having to get up to go get it. I feel like it breaks the immersion if it's not right next to me and I just pick it up and go for it. I feel like he has to reach for it. Oh my God, they're not prepared at all. No, we're looking for crying out loud, sex, death, and rock and roll. A scamming concert promoter can't escape the troubling voices in his head. That was awfully short, as they are on the box set here. So I actually have my own description. It goes a little more in depth here. So here's my description. A greedy rock promoter, Marty Slash, plans to steal donation money raised at a charity concert. $1 million, by the way. I think that's a lot of money for back in the 90s. Yeah. $1 million bucks. $1 million bucks is a lot of money nowadays. I'll take it. Just as he's getting ready to make off with the cash, Marty is interrupted by a voice coming from inside his head. The voice turns out to be his conscience, urging him to do the right thing and put the money back. Things get even more complicated when Marty is interrupted again, this time by a greedy banker who tries to blackmail him. Marty handles the situation in the most Tales from the Crypt fashion by murdering the banker. Will Marty's nagging conscience allow him to avoid suspicion long enough to get away with murder and keep his fortune? Stay tuned.
Are these getting longer, your descriptions? It's sort of getting like a sentence longer every time we do these. I'm not against it, but I feel like it's a pattern.
The episodes are just getting that much more detailed.
Okay, I see.
Am I giving away too much? Is that too much in the intro?
Well, I've seen the episode, so yeah, I'm pretty much done. You know, I don't even hear the rest of your takes. You know, I got the synopsis.
Well, you know what? Before we dive in, I do want to just kind of let a little bit of the cat out of the bag. What are your overall thoughts and impressions of this episode?
I enjoyed it a lot. It definitely is the Tales from the Crypt that I kind of understand, like the kind of style that they give off. So I was kind of glad watching this episode. I'm like, okay, this is kind of where things are. I hope like becomes a standard, or I should see most of it, because I think a handful of episodes when I was first introduced, like it was that kind of like atmosphere. So I mean, obviously this is a little bit more, on the slapstick or whatever, but either way, it just has that, vibe. So
I like the way you put that. Where like this is more in line with a typical Tales from the Crypt episode, or what you'd come to expect. It's got the horror in there, the suspense. It's got the comedy. This episode's definitely got some slapstick comedy going on. So much more fun episode than the last few we watched. The last few episodes we watched, I feel like were way too serious, and it made those episodes boring for rewatch and just not fun. Like one of the episodes, I think I remember even saying it was a good episode. It just wasn't fun. Like this episode was fun. It was like so campy and slapstick, and the characters were all over the top, and it was a lot more fun to watch. So I definitely liked it. And it was fun to see Katie Seagal. Like I definitely like her as an actress. She's a lot of fun to see. I liked Peggy in Married with Children, and I liked Leela in Futurama. So altogether, I think a good episode. Well, let's dive in. The Crypt Keeper intro. He's playing the guitar. He's got the long rocker hair. He's got even some earrings in there. And he's saying, I always wanted to play guitar, but I can never quite master the fingering. And he holds up his guitar pick, which happens to be a severed finger. He throws the finger off to the side, and some rats pick it up, and they start to take, go away with it. And he says, "My groupies." So he's got a bunch of.
I love that.
He's got a bunch of rat groupies. Yeah. He says, "Tonight's little riff is rife with sex and rock and roll. You'll meet a putrefied promoter of pop with an ear for a hit." So that's his introduction to the story.
No, he's just getting better at like giving kind of like these zingers and dingers, for like the episodes. Like, oh, what's gonna happen, or what about the character? Just because how like I think two episodes ago or an episode ago where we thought it was a radio station, or he was a radio host, or a DJ.
Yeah.
And we couldn't quite make sense of how it was like connected to the episode, but this one is definitely a bit more better.
Oh yeah, this one's absolutely, it's in line with the theme of the episode, right? It's a rock show promoter. They're at a rock show, right? There's all kinds of music going on. So he's definitely in it. He's definitely in it. This one makes a lot of sense and is very much in line with the episode. Before we start the actual episode, I want to take a moment to talk about the opening panel. And here we have it again, the 3 layers, the foreground, the mid, and the background. So up front, we've got a lady. It's obviously Katie Seagal. She's even drawn, the same way, but she's counting some money. And then behind her is a man holding an electric guitar, getting ready to bash her over the head. And then behind that, even still, is a window that you can see out into a concert. So that's pretty much exactly the way that the episode is set up, right? He has an office that's kind of behind the concert floor, and he can kind of see everything that's happening out from his office. So basically, it's almost practically a snapshot of a moment in the episode, exactly as it happens. This isn't like a montage of different events happening. This is all just exactly that one moment.
Yeah. Maybe it's the post that came first, like for the think tank. Like, oh, let's see what we like, and then they probably just redo the posters based on like what the old comic was, or they actually do get the original comic, or whichever it is. But they pretty much set it up so we get this kind of shot, maybe, or they always try to get a shot with a panel, because it is nice. I am glad that they actually had this in the episode as well.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. And even the Katie Seagal character, the banker, she's counting the money, but her eyes are looking above, like she's almost like imagining, oh, what am I going to do with all this money? Like she's not even looking at the money she's counting. She's like, it looks like she's like imagining something.
Well, she's a banker. She doesn't have to look at what she's counting.
Right. She's been counting money for a very long time.
For a while, yeah.
Well, back then they probably did have to count the money by hand. Nowadays they just throw it into a machine.
Oh yeah.
So scene 1 of this episode is it turns out to be similar to I think either last episode or 2 episodes ago, where it was like a flashback or a flash forward, something like that.
Yeah, it was the thing from the grave.
Yeah, the thing from the grave. That's what it was. Yeah, it did something similar to this. So we basically start in the future, but we don't know that yet. But spoilers. So there's an electric chair. So there's going to be an execution, and right away, the way it's filmed, it's dark, it's brooding. It's a very haunting shot of just the electric chair, and it right away it flashed me back to season 1, episode 1, The Man Who Was Death. It might even be the same chamber. Who knows?
Sure.
But
it's just a call.
You're right. So then we get a shot of the hallway, and the guards and the priest are walking towards the chair, and you hear a man saying, "Please, please," from behind. But then he pops out from behind them, and he's like so excited. "Please, let's hurry up, let's hurry." And he goes running towards the electric chair. He sits into himself. I think he even puts the cap on himself or something. He was
He
definitely
does. He
very,
puts
very
everything.
eager. And he even was like, egging on the guards to pull the switch. So he was thrilled to be doing, and I like this. This is right away sets the tone for the entire episode. You got something serious and something haunting with the electric chair, and just the way it was filmed. It was filmed from a low angle, giving the chair this massive, real estate on the screen, definitely giving some reverence to the chair itself, and then to immediately go to just being so excited. And even the music was so like silly and just over the top. So it just took any sort of horror or seriousness and just threw it out the window and said, nope, we're going comedy here. And they stuck with it all the way through to the end. So great setup and great tone shift for the entire episode. So I enjoyed this intro a lot. Oh, and something else is when he's getting ready to be executed, he's talking to someone. He's like shouting at someone, and even the guards are like, who's he talking to? So there's definitely something going on with voices or something that he's hearing that everybody else isn't hearing. So it sets that up too. So there's that. And by the way, after he is electrocuted, after he's executed, the camera starts to zoom into his ear. And then that kind of gives us a transition into scene 2, which is in a doctor's office where he's getting his ears checked. And this flashback does say like 2 years earlier, right?
Yeah, it did. I was like, oh wow, that's the furthest we went for any kind of like time shift for an episode.
Yeah.
The longest was I think 3 months, 4 months, and then this.
Yeah, I know. So he ends up getting arrested, right? And he gets sentenced to murder. Right? He gets sentenced to death. That's what ends up happening. So 2 years, that does make sense for all that kind of stuff to take place. But in the Tales from the Crypt world, we're much more used to, that was last week, right? So the fact that they did go 2 years earlier was interesting. You figure it would be like 2 weeks ago or a month ago. But the fact that they went 2 years ago it did stick out to me in the Tales from the Crypt world. So he's getting his ears checked, and you can hear while the doctor's checking, you can hear like a muffled voice trying to say something while the doctor's checking his ears, and the doctor's like, I don't see anything. I don't know what you're talking about. And Marty insists, I hear something in there. Something's going on, Doc. So the doctor just prescribes him some medicine, gives him some medicine and some Q-tips. And Marty says, this is all I get for $200? So
that's crazy, huh?
Yeah, is it right? $200 visit, and then you just get some Q-tips and some medicine.
Q-tips.
That is an interesting comment from him though, because it is interesting that he brings up money like as if he's kind of strapped for cash in an episode where he's getting ready to steal a bunch of money. So yeah, maybe he is kind of a, strapped for cash kind of guy, and $200 is, on his mind. So he brought it up. So there it is. The next scene is at a concert, and Iggy Pop is performing up on stage and doing his Iggy Pop thing, being Iggy Pop, and
Iggy Pop.
He's very, very Iggy Pop in this, very, very punk rock. So after the song, he introduces Marty Slash to the stage. By the way, this main character's name is Marty Slash. He's like the concert or music promoter. So Marty thanks the crowd for their donations. This is a charity concert, and he invites Chief Kabooey to the stage. And Chief Kabooey comes out, and they're dressed in very like traditional like South American tribal outfit. And basically this donation is all going to go to the rainforests of South America. And he brings Chief Kabooey up and presents him with a check for $1 million. So this is all going to go to South America to help the Amazon forest. What a noble cause, right? Well, then cut to backstage, and we see Marty paying off Chief Kabooey, but Chief Kabooey's just like some white dude dressed in a bunch of makeup. He's taking off his costume as Marty's shoving him out the back door, giving him, like a $20 bill or something like that, and saying, just keep quiet.
It was all a scam. Well, initially for that episode, the scene, he looks at Chief Kabooey and he's like kind of like a culture shock. So I thought it was like a real Chief Tribe, or there's like some crazy random backstage, I don't want to say groupie, but fan of Iggy Pop or something like that. So I didn't think much of it. But yeah, when he shoved him out, I'm like, oh, it was just a scam. But he was still freaked out by the whole costume design. So
do you think that he just told this guy, like, he just come on stage and accept this check, and the guy like really got into it and got all dressed up.
No, I think he had to like really pull it off, where like, yeah, that this is the actual chief. This is the chief tribe. And then yeah, I assume there was like some security guard that he had probably around the area, or some. I like to think it's a random person, but maybe it was more someone he knows.
Just some random dude he found in the street who's willing to just take $20 as a bribe and just move on with his life.
$20 just to hold a check, yeah.
Yeah. So the next scene here is where we spend almost the entire time of the episode. It's in Marty's office, which is kind of upstairs behind the crowd of the concert. So we have the concert downstairs with the stage on one end, and then you have the crowd, and then behind the crowd upstairs is Marty's office. He opens up the safe, and he's kind of gathering all the money. He says, this money is going to go where it's needed, all right, to Marty's retirement fund. So none of it's going to the Amazon. Marty's planning on keeping all of it. But this is where Marty is basically interrupted by his conscience. His conscience shouts at him from inside of his head. It says, don't touch that money. And right away, he gets all nervous. He starts looking around the office, trying to figure out what's going on. And basically, the voice says, I'm not here in the room. I'm in your head. It's me. I'm your conscience. I've been trying to get through to you for 38 years. So basically, Marty's been living a conscience-free life for, almost 40 years. And at this point, though, it's too late. Marty's made up his mind. Nothing his conscience says will change his mind. So he dumps all the money into a briefcase, and he's getting ready to leave. Oh, no, wait. There was something I wanted to say before we get to that point. His conscience says to him, don't do it. You'll be throwing your life away. And then Marty says, what life? Being a gopher for a bunch of drooling morons? For 12 years, it's been Marty this and Marty that, and I've got nothing to show for it. So I like this moment in the episode because it does give a little bit of sympathy to Marty. He's doing this terrible thing, but in his mind, right, his justification is, I've been doing this job, working for a bunch of rock stars for 12 years, and they tell me whatever they want. I have to do whatever they want, and I've got nothing to show for it. So, this is a man who's obviously strapped for cash. $200 is a lot of money for a doctor's visit to only get Q-tips. We get right. And he's basically just doing whatever these rock stars want him to do. And he's tired of it. So even though it doesn't justify what he's doing, to him it does. And I think that's important for morally corrupt characters in shows and movies. I think it's really important to have these moments where you can kind of see it from their perspective. From their perspective, they're a good guy. Marty is, in his mind, is a good guy trying to do the right thing, but he's walked all over, and he has to make this decision to do what's right for him. So I did like this moment.
Yeah, it was enjoyable because, yeah, I do agree. We're kind of sharing like why they had like their motive for like, whatever reason. And it's just like, oh, at one point, it's like they did think they were doing the right thing because they deserve it, or because like it's like the whole thing's like, well, no one's like kind of born evil, it's like, well, let's see how he became, kind of a bad guy, just from like that one simple line, it's just like that's just enough. Like, we don't need to have a crazy backstory, just them saying like, okay, we get it, like simple.
Yeah, I liked it. I think it was an important moment in the episode. So he throws all the money into a briefcase. He's on his way out, but there's a knock at the door. Oh boy, this is where things get interesting. He opens up the door, and there's a woman in black leather, in like a black leather dress. And she was actually, if you watch the episode again, you'll notice that she was actually in the crowd already when he was giving his speech, and she was kind of keeping an eye on him already. So she was already there. She came upstairs, she knocked on his door, and she lets herself in, and basically she just starts to seduce Marty. She's like hugging up on him. She's rubbing her body all over his, and she even at one point licks his ear. And she's just really, really, hot and heavy with him. She goes over to the couch, and she kind of taps the couch beside her and says, why don't you come on over here? And he's like, in his mind, he's like, okay, well, maybe I can, get a little quickie on, right, before I escape with all this money. So he's down. It's working on him. But on his way over, of course, his conscience, I like this moment too. His conscience is yelling at him to, just do the right thing. And to shut the conscience up, he slaps himself in the side of the head. And I love how she responds. She goes, "Ooh, you like it rough, do you?" And she slaps him on both sides of his cheeks. And it was a funny moment for a couple of reasons. That was funny. But also, Marty says, ow, and his conscience goes, ow. So I wonder if his conscience can also feel it. That was funny.
I think it did, but yeah, I did enjoy that. Like, his conscience was introducing a lot of jokes, honestly, though, from that point before he grabbed the money, and he just like, don't touch it. From that point forward, it was great between the two interactions. The dialogue was just so fun.
Yeah,
just keep up with.
It was good dialogue. Yeah. And the conscience was, like I said, Sam Kinison, who is a comedian. So I wonder how much of his lines were like ad-libbed, because comedians are pretty good at ranting and just kind of going riffing. So yeah, it was good. He definitely livened it up a bit. So they start to get hot and heavy there on the couch, and Marty accuses her of being a hooker, and she says, "I'm not a hooker. I'm a banker." "Your banker." And then she takes off her wig. She's wearing a wig, and then she puts on her glasses, and suddenly she looks very, very bookish. She's she's still Katie Seagal sexy, but she's very much like librarian sexy at this point. So this is Miss Kilbosser, by the way. He says, "Miss Kilbosser?" And she says, "I've been watching you, Marty. I noticed you withdrew all the charity money. I want half." So she's blackmailing at this point. And he says, "Half? I'm not giving you half. I did all the work. I'm the one who planned all of this. I'm the one who, is putting my neck out on the line. And I'm the one who's going through with it." And she says, "I'm the one who let you get away with it. I could have blew the whistle on you back at the bank, and I could still blow the whistle now." So at this point, from Miss Kilbosser's perspective, there's a long silence. But from Marty's perspective, he's like having a back and forth. His conscience is telling him, just, tell her to go away and put the money back. You can still get away with it. Don't go through with this. You can still do the right thing. And he ultimately decides to tell Miss Kilbosser, "Go ahead and count out your half, and I'll just run away with 500,000. So he's going to go through with it. So this is the scene we get in the panel, right? At this point, she's counting all the money. And I like this moment too. This is another good moment. While she's counting the money, he kind of sneakily walks behind her, closes the curtains to the window, looking outside so he can have some privacy, right? He grabs an electric guitar and he bashes her over the head. And while he's bashing her over the head, we get a shot from outside in the concert. And you can see his shadow on the curtains of him bashing her head in. So he made a huge effort to try to hide what he was doing. And then the whole world can see what he's doing anyway. And that moment, I laughed out loud so much in that moment. That is my streak of the week. My streak of the week is going to that moment right there where he made such an effort to close the curtains, and then you just see on full display him bashing her over the head with a guitar.
I'm glad you pointed that out too, because I did enjoy that whole sequence when he grabs his guitar, because he's just talking about making jokes about why he likes rock and roll. But when he starts bashing her, and then Iggy Pop was headbanging, I did like the back and forth like montage. It was like a music video, so it was very, very punk. It was nice.
Oh right, because Iggy Pop was making the same motion of like bashing something right down. Yeah, I think it was the mic stand or something he was bashing down. Something like that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you're just head banging with it. So I just it was like, oh yeah, look at that. It's just a punk rock show, so it's all the same.
After he kills her, he stuffs her into a basically a bass drum case, right? He shoves her in, and he starts collecting the money from off the ground, putting it back into the briefcase, and that's where we get interrupted again. We get another knock at the door, and it's the police. The police come in. There have been complaints about the noise. Basically, they demand that Marty turn everything down. So Marty makes a call to the front and tells him to turn it down. Was there anything about this exchange that kind of caught your interest? I didn't put any notes, but I know there was some stuff in that exchange that I probably would be worth talking about.
Honestly, nothing really, because the cop didn't really say much, you know what I mean? Like, he just said turn it down.
Yeah, it was a relatively short scene with the cop. The cop comes in, basically turn it down, and then there was he was very suspicious, right? He was acting very suspicious, but the cop was like, whatever, just turn it down, and left.
Yeah, it was
maybe they could have done more with that scene to really pull out the tension, but it's only 20 or 25 minutes in an episode, so we gotta keep moving. So when the cop leaves, at this point Marty's on the ground and he just is in basically pain because the conscience won't shut up. It just keeps yelling at him. He puts in all that medicine that the doctor gave him and takes the Q-tips and just starts driving them into his ear.
Oh yeah.
And this, I think, is
gnarly.
This is gnarly. Yeah, this is where the grotesqueness of the episode comes in, because if you've ever accidentally shoved in a Q-tip just like a quarter of an inch too far in your ear, oh, it hurts so bad. And so seeing him shove in those Q-tips so hard was definitely uncomfortable to watch. Yeah. But it doesn't do anything to the voice in his head, though. He still hears the voice. So he even takes a pencil and starts shoving that into his ear. Like he's trying to do everything he can to shut up the conscience, and it won't do anything. At this point, right, we've spent a long time in this office and we finally get out. So this kind of feels like, at this point, the episode really starts, moving again. And Marty walks down towards to go to the bathroom. And on his way to the bathroom, people are giving him like a horrified look. And the conscience, of course, is like, oh, look at them. They all know what you did. They know what you did, Marty. Right? They know you killed your banker. They know you're taking the money. So his paranoia is just increasing and increasing and increasing. And he finally gets to the bathroom and he's at the urinal, and there's like a whole line of people beside him. And one at a time, they all look over, they give him a horrified look, and they run out. And then the next person in the line looks at him, gives him a horrified look, and runs away. So in his mind, he's thinking, they all know what I did. And his conscience, of course, is egging him on. Like, yeah, they all know. They know, Marty. They can see it on your face. And when you go down this line of people, all these, there's a woman, and the last one there at the urinal, and she looks over at him, gives him a horrified look, pulls up her stockings, right? She's wearing a skirt, pulls up her stockings and runs out the door. That was such a good moment too.
I didn't actually expect that sequence of events too. Like at the end, I'm like, oh, it's like, okay, yeah. It's just kind of funny that it kind of happened. But,
it wasn't filmed like it was a joke. It was filmed like it's just one more person at the urinal.
Yeah. But the one thing I'll say though is the whole entire time when he left with a briefcase from his office to the bathroom, it wasn't that he's saying like, oh, everyone knows because they can see. It was more like they can hear me if I shout loud enough, like they can hear me. They can hear what you're thinking or what I'm saying.
Yeah. Oh, right.
And so it's like, yeah, because it's just so loud. Yeah, and I think that's why he just kept yelling, making noise and stuff. Because at that point when he sees the woman and she leaves, he's like, how does it feel, lady, to pee next to like a psychopath or something? He says like some lines similar to that. I was like, oh, okay. It's just I'm not sure if they're calling her a psychopath for being there or whichever, but it's just like it was a moment for sure.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. I'm glad you made that distinction, because that actually is important to the episode, where it's not just Marty thinks that they can see that he did it. He thinks that they can hear his conscience. So yeah, in his mind, he wants to try to drown out the noise of his conscience, because he thinks that they can all hear his conscience too. So after the bathroom, Marty goes out back to the concert, and he turns the concert back up. He turns the master volume back up so nobody can hear his conscience yelling. Yeah, that was an important. I'm glad that you distinguished that. So he turns up the concert. So in his mind, nobody else can hear his conscience. But he doesn't leave though. He doesn't leave the concert.
He doesn't leave. No.
He runs up on stage and bashes his head into the speaker, blowing out the speaker, while the conscience is yelling, "I killed my banker."
Yeah.
So Marty basically at this point is dead silent. He blew the speaker out. He turns around, he faces the crowd who's all staring at him, and he says, "I didn't mean to kill my banker." And so he just admits to the entire crowd that he killed his banker. And at this moment, the camera kind of, pans around his head, and you see out of his ear, there's a bloody Q-tip sticking way out of his ear. And his conscience says, "Hey, Marty, do you think they couldn't hear me at all? They were just looking at you because you had a Q-tip sticking out of your ear?"
Yeah, it's so sad.
Well,
have that,
he gets
realization.
Right. He gets what's coming to him, right? So he could have gotten away with it had he not had the Q-tip sticking out of his ear.
Just got his mouth shut. Yeah, just like his conscience said.
Yeah. So the next scene is basically 2 years later. We're in the jail cell, and he's almost like comatose. He's just sitting there, like staring off into space, while his conscience is just blabbing on and on and on, and just completely annoying him. And he's basically been tormented by his conscience for like the last 2 years. So when the guards show up to take him to his execution, he like livens up finally, and then he gets all excited, and then he runs out, and that basically brings us back to the beginning of the episode. So that's where we all started. Then we cut to the Crypt Keeper, who says, as for Marty, he was right about that noise in his head. He probably wished he was deaf, but he got death instead. Until next time, Fright fans, ears looking at you.
So simple.
Yeah, that's good. I did like this episode. I liked it a lot. And I liked the twist with the Q-tip. It made watching the episode again fun, because the moment he left the office and you can see people like looking at him shocked and surprised. The way it's filmed, you never see I think it's his left ear. You never see his left ear. It's always filmed from the right. And when you watch it the first time, you don't really notice. You just see people looking at him and kind of looking weird. But he is like sweating profusely and like very shifty and shady looking. You would think that they're just responding to him being weird. But then watching it again, you realize, oh, they see a bloody Q-tip sticking out of his ear, and they're just giving him a weird look because of that. So that is fun. That was fun watching the finale kind of, escalate, knowing that he has a Q-tip sticking out of his ear the whole time. So that did make the last third or so of this episode a lot of fun to rewatch.
But was it a Q-tip or was it like a pencil? Because I thought it was sharper. I think when you pull it out, it didn't look like a Q-tip.
Oh, was it the pencil?
Because because he did the Q-tip, and then he was threatening to do the pencil because just pierce your eardrums at that point. But yeah, I felt like it was a pencil or whatever it was, like the small wooden stake.
Okay.
It didn't look like a Q-tip to me.
Either a pencil or something was sticking out of his left ear. I thought it was a Q-tip. It could have been the pencil though. But yeah, something was sticking out of his left ear the whole time. And the way it was filmed, leading, from the moment he did that and then left the office, you never saw that half of his face. And you don't really pay attention to that when you're watching it.
That's true.
But when you watch it the second time, you realize that's kind of a little sneaky little thing they did. I really like that. That was good. I also thought this was similar to Pinocchio. I felt like this was a Pinocchio story where, Jiminy Cricket is replaced by Sam Kinison. You can hear his conscience kind of, telling him what to do constantly. And every time Pinocchio lies, his nose grows and people can see, right? The rest of the world can see. Well, in this case, his ear, right? Something's sticking out of his ear and the whole world can see. So the moral of the story is listen to your conscience, right? The whole world can see through your lies. Whether it's a nose on your face or a pencil or a Q-tip sticking out of your ear, everybody can tell. So y'all, don't try to murder your banker and steal a bunch of money. Okay? Listen to Tales from the Crypt.
Listen to Tales from the Crypt. Yep. It's a self-help show,
You know what, though? Because of the fact that all of the characters are flawed in that way, right? They're guilty of some sort of sin. It really is like, a morality show with a twist, right? With like a horrific twist.
With a twist. No, it's a Tales from the Crypt show. It's its own show. That's what it is. Like I said, the dialogue was just great. If anything, I would probably just revisit and just like look at what are more iconic lines for him. But like I said, just rewatch it a couple times. You'll probably find new ones every time. Because there's a lot of good back and forth between other characters or him and his conscience primarily, especially towards the end of the scene where he's just at the jail cell, like you said, comatose. He didn't eat his final meal, right? Like before you're sentenced out to death.
Yeah, even the cops mentioned like, aren't you going to eat, Marty?
Yeah, and he had like McDonald's or something. He had a burger. I forget what it was, but yeah, I think it was because we forget like he's also deaf, so like, because the guard had to throw something at him to get his attention.
Oh,
He was just listening to his conscience, and he's just staring at the wall. And it's not till when the guard threw something at him, he's like, "Oh my God, the time has come! Is it finally happening? Is it today?"
I remember them throwing something at him to get his attention. Yeah. For some reason, I never associated that with him being deaf. I just thought he's so deep
Plugged
in
his
thought
ears
that he
in.
wasn't paying attention. But you're right. He shoved all those things in his ear and then he shoved his head in his speaker. He probably is deaf. I didn't even
He is
connect
deaf.
those.
Yeah. He did a lot of physical trauma and just regular sound trauma,
Yeah.
Like a speaker or those big subwoofers, those like 20 inches, 40 inches or whatever. And then, but I like that because the whole entire time his conscience is just like, okay, let's just recite the 10 Commandments. And it can never be bad to recite the 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill. It's just like he's just being a goofball about it, and he's just like, I don't know. It's just you can imagine for the past 2 years he's deaf, and all I can hear is that loud voice in his head.
Yeah, that loud, obnoxious voice. Yeah.
Yeah, just saying whatever comes to its mind.
Yeah.
So that he was just mentally checked out. I kind of understand. Like, yeah, I would be excited too if I was stuck in that kind of hell. Like, is it Death Day? Is it Death Day?
Waiting for Death Day. Happy Death Day.
Yeah, Happy Death Day. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give this episode 4.1 women in the men's restrooms. So 4.1 women at the urinals for this episode. I was contemplating on a 4.5. I thought this was, really funny and enjoyable. But the reason I'm not going that high, I'm taking it down a little bit from where I kind of initially thought, is because the majority of the episode takes place in that office, and you do start to feel the runtime in that office. He's in there. You meet his conscience, right? He finally gets revealed. You learn that part of it. He takes the money. Then the banker comes in. Then we have that whole situation play out. Then he finally kills the banker. Then the cop comes in, and then that whole situation. It's like there's a lot that happens in that office, and it does start to feel a little long and bloated at that point. So when he finally leaves to go down to the bathroom, I feel like, okay, now here we go again, right? So even though it was fun watching it and I did enjoy it, it did feel a little long in that middle section. Maybe if he had left the office and then came back, and then, like if it was like intercut with other things going on more often, maybe I wouldn't have felt that as much. But yeah, this time through, I definitely, because I feel the episode really going, right? Doctor, like the electric chair scene, the doctor's office, the concert, the back alley, or the behind the backstage where he's making that deal with, Sid, or whatever that guy's name is. Then when he finally gets to his office, that's where I feel like, all right, let's settle down. We're going to be here for a while. Like in the back of my mind, I can kind of, feel the momentum of the episode, dwindling a little bit.
But I'm glad you liked the episode, because I don't know. I feel like you kind of get the overall atmosphere of an episode the first 2 minutes, and you kind of expect it to play out. I haven't really had an episode where I'm like, oh, I really like it so far, and then kind of was disappointed. I'd naturally just be disappointed from the beginning if it was kind of a low episode. So yeah, when this came around after the ones we've watched, this was a 4. This is a easy banger for me. Like I could thoroughly just rewatch this again or show someone else. If it's their first time. I mean, yeah, it's a fun one. He's battling his conscience, and he's a rock star manager. So a lot going on there.
You going with a 4?
I'm gonna give it a 4. Yeah, 4 headbangs.
4 headbangs. All right. So 4.0 from Godden. Oh, okay. That's interesting. I gave it more than you.
Yeah, because I think I was in the same line of thinking where, I don't know, 4.5 would be a little too high. So I wasn't too sure if I want to give it a 4.5 at the time too. But it definitely is a strong, solid 4 for me.
Mm-hmm. Also, maybe you know what it is. The main character, Marty, and the banker, Miss Kilbosser, were actually really good. And if Miss Kilbosser had lived and maybe was also kind of intertwined in the rest of the plot, that might have made it more interesting. Because the other characters weren't that fun. Like if the cop, the cop was pretty straight laced, right? If the cop was also kind of a funny character, that might have also added to it. But I don't know. Well, all right. That brings us to correspondence. We got a correspondence from Sauce McLaughlin on YouTube, who says, I just found your podcast and flew through the episodes. I'm hooked. I can't wait to take this journey through the series with you guys. Sauce, I really appreciate that comment. That meant a lot to me when I read that. That means a lot to me that you found the episode, that you found the podcast, and it means that much to you to watch all the episodes, look forward to upcoming ones, and reach out and let us know. So thank you so much. I'm looking forward to taking this journey and having you along for the ride. Don't hesitate to reach out in the future and let us know what you think about future episodes. And we're happy to, share any correspondence from anybody right here on the podcast. So don't be shy, anybody out there. I also want to give out some shout outs. I've been giving a lot of credit lately to some of these podcasts here, Creeps of the Crypt and the Crypt Keepers podcast. If you're into this Tales from the Crypt stuff, those are some other podcasts that you can go check out. I'll leave links to the description below. Haddonfield Radio, still listening to that. If those are, by the way, Haddonfield Radio, those are like 3-hour podcasts. They'll talk for like an hour and a half before the movie starts, and then they'll just talk through, an hour and a half movie. So they're long. So if you have if you commute, that might be a good podcast for you to listen to. And the last one I want to give a shout out to is Futurama, for a couple of reasons. A few episodes ago, we had a good friend of ours, John, on, whose girlfriend is in a Futurama podcast, Futurama. So I want to give a shout out for him and her. But also, hey, Katie Seagal was in this episode, who plays Leela in Futurama. So if you watch this episode and then you think in your mind, oh my gosh, I want to go watch some Futurama. Hey, you can pair that up with some Futurama on anywhere you get your podcasts. Well, with that, we bid you adieu. But I want to remind you that if you want to follow along with us, watch Season 2, Episode 9, Four-Sided Triangle before next week, and you can tune in to hear us babble on about it. My name's Kenny, and I'm here with my co-host, Godden. Godden, any last words before we go?
I hope that these next coming episodes we watch are consistent 4s, maybe 5s, but yeah, can't wait for people to think as well. So yeah, excited for the next episode.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a lag, didn't we? A couple 3 episodes of lag there. It looks like we're starting to peak again. Hopefully we keep going in that direction. All right, everybody. Take care of yourselves. We'll see you all next week. Go watch some Tales from the Crypt. It's good for you.
Well, how was that for a scream, boys and ghouls?